Hi, I'm Sam. How are you? Welcome to Self-Care with Sam. And we are at the lovely Warrior Goddess Studio in Elmwood Park, New Jersey, where I teach a couple times a week. I love this studio. And I just wanted to pop in and give you a quick, gentle flow and see how that works for your day. We're going to be relatively quickly moving into some really gentle poses, and I wanted you to just know in advance this should not take you more than like 25 minutes, and a little goes a long way. So that's the one main point that I want to make is this is something that you can come back to a couple times or once a week, and it should make a bit of difference for you. Remember that you can come into a child's pose at any point if you feel that there's too much muscle tension. And the last thing I'll say is that yoga is not about flexibility. It's a common misconception. It's really about relieving muscle tension. So if you feel some resistance in a certain pose, remember to find some softness, right? So maybe you're just pressing yourself too hard. You can also take a break, like I said, and come into a child's pose, but it's less about your bone structure and your flexibility and your ability in that area, and more about just butting up against that muscle tension. And the whole point of doing yoga is to relieve some of that, at least the physical practice of yoga. Part of the point is to alleviate some of that. So that's why I decided to make this video. Think about relieving some stress. Think about relieving some muscle tension in your body. But also at the same time, there's always that element of alignment in our poses that's going to help you work a little bit of your core in a really low impact, gentle kind of way. So let's get started. You're going to meet me like so in a cross-legged position. Perhaps I'm in lotus right now, but cross-legged works totally fine. And if for some reason that's uncomfortable, you can extend the legs. You can find whatever feels good, whatever seated position feels good for you. And the next thing I'll have you do is remove a little bit of flesh from beneath you. So what we want to do is ground our root. We want to let our whole foundation melt down to the earth. And then we want to relax our shoulders and our upper body. Let the arms feel relaxed. Place the palms either face up or face down on your knees or your legs. And you can close the eyes and just breathe for a few minutes. So we're going to start every practice with a grounding and a centering. Just to cultivate our ability to become present and connect with our breath a little bit. So we'll close the eyes. Take an exhale. So on your next exhale, I just want you to think about allowing any excited or excitable energy to release. And the end of that exhale, releasing you further down into the earth. So like a whole softening from top to bottom in the body. And then we're going to take an inhale and just feel your belly expand a bit with air. Inhale through the nose and then exhale through the nose. Let it all go. Take another inhale. And exhale through the nose. This time think about bringing the navel inward towards the spine to press out any excess air. And one last time together, we'll take an inhale through the nose. Fill up, the chest expands a bit, sip in all the way to your tip-top capacity, and then exhale through the nose. Let it all go. Bring your hands to prayer and your prayer up to your heart space. Just connect with that inner self for just a moment here. Find a moment to tune in. And just be, again, only aware of the breath here. And you can open your eyes. We can get started here. So I always start with just a few stretches. You can let the legs, sometimes the legs get a little bit tired when we're sitting in that cross-legged position. So if you want, you can totally release the legs a little bit and bring them straight out in front of you. Take an inhale and reach the hands all the way up overhead. And then just allow your body on your exhale to reach forward, forward, forward. Find some length here, and then go ahead and take that forward fold over long legs. So you can let the crown of the head actually relax down And wherever you feel comfortable here, you can let your palms land on the outside of the ankles, on the outside of the shins, on the floor. See if you can open the back of the neck as well, letting the crown of the head and the forehead draw down towards the knees. Stick with your breath here. Maybe send some breath into your back body along your spine and mid-back. Being sure to exhale and press out any additional air so we can make room for a really nice full breath. You're going to start to lift your upper body back up, lengthen the spine. While you're here, take the right hand down. Reach up and take a big inhale as you reach up with the left hand. So you'll open the space at the heart here, and then we can exhale and take the left fingertips up and over. And stay with your breath just for one more breath here, filling up that left side. And then we can plant our left hand back down mindfully, always mindfully moving from one pose to the next. Plant the left hand down, take an inhale, reach up with the right, open up the heart space, big inhale, and then we can exhale and take the right fingertips over. Find softness in the neck here. So whenever you feel like you need to look down, if you need to look forward, look up at the top hand, whatever feels right for your neck, because we never want to develop extra tension in that area. We can exhale and take that right hand down. And when you're ready, you're going to join me in a tabletop, which is on the hands and the knees. So really just taking your time getting there so that we don't throw ourselves into any position. Think about your alignment. So for a moment, think about a very flat back. So the knees are going to come right under the hip joints. The knees are also hips distance apart. The palms are right underneath the shoulder joints. And if we can gaze out in front of us, we create this one long line from our tailbone all the way out through the crown of our head. Take an inhale here with this flat back, and we're going to take cat-cow from here. So you're going to exhale for your cat. You let the crown of the head draw down. You let the belly move inward. Maybe press the ground away a tiny bit so that you can kind of create this mini arc in the back. That's your exhale. And your inhale is for cow, where you can gaze up at the ceiling, open up the heart space here. Maybe let the belly button draw down and the tailbone draw up. And your cat on your exhale. And you can move into this for a few more rounds at any rate that you like. Just stay with your inhale and your exhale. And it can be as exaggerated or as gentle as you see fit for your own body. So keep going here on your own breath. You'll find that in all of my yoga classes, there's going to be a theme. And that theme is to do what's good for your own body. So if the only thing that we learn and cultivate with our physical yoga practice is to remember how to listen to our own body and honor our own needs, then we did our job. Probably my students in my classes are probably tired of hearing, listen to your body, but it is the theme of most of my classes. When you're ready, you can take that last inhale, but come to this flat back once again. And then with the exhale, I just want you to come back into a child's pose. So you'll bring the feet together and send the hips all the way back wherever they land, right? So it could be somewhere around here if you've got tight hips. If we can let them draw all the way back as far as they'll go. Sometimes a little shimmy in the hips to let them settle where it's comfortable. And then you can walk the hands forward, let the heart melt down. And this is where you can come whenever you feel like you need to take a beat during this practice. Sometimes if you've got a lot of muscle tension in your body, that can be useful to just take this child's pose and breathe. you're gonna lift your gaze here. I just mean, look around. And then walk the hands inward towards yourself. Come back to that tabletop. We're gonna make our way into a down dog. So like I said, this is a gentle flow class. We are not going to be taking any sun salutations for the yogis who are watching. We're not going to be taking any sun salutations. We're not going to be adding in any vinyasas between sequence, which means that if you'd like to add that in yourself, that's always optional. You could always pause right here and take a few sun salutations before moving on if it feels right for you. We're going to come into a down dog though, so you're going to tuck the toes, you're going to plant the palms nice and firmly, send the fingertips away from each other. That way you can have a nice grounded feeling in your palms. And then you're going to press the ground away with the feet, lengthen the legs, press the ground away with the palms to send the hips all the way up towards the ceiling. Think about letting the crown of the head, so the tip top of your head relaxes down towards the earth, and your low back and your tailbone are reaching up towards the sky, this upside down V. Remember that you could always readjust your foundation when you come into your down dog. So if you need more space between the hands and the palms, less space, a shorter dog, whatever feels good. The feet do not have to draw all the way back down to the ground, just back behind you. So now we'll walk our dog. So you send one heel back and bend into the opposite knee, and then switch legs. You feel the back of the leg up through the calf and the hamstring opening. Just for a few beats. And then you can bring the feet together. Take a little baby bend in the knees, take an inhale. Glance forward, and then start to walk your feet all the way up towards your palms, but take your time, like the slowest walk you ever took. And you're in your forward fold. So your upper body is just melting now over the lower body. This could look something like this if we've got some extra tension in our body. We don't judge that tension, and we don't, give ourselves any negative self-talk about it. It's just there, and that's why we're doing this, right? If there is the ability to really let the crown melt down and plant the palms or the fingertips even, we can do that. And if you've got some extra tension in the legs, you can take a micro bend in the knees. This is amazing for making some space in the upper spine and into the neck. So we always get that tension in the shoulders and in the neck, sometimes from the work we do. And inverting in this way is so helpful. So straight from here, we'll come into our sequence. You're actually going to bend deeply into the knees, let the belly kind of draw down onto the tops of the quads. See if we can either plant the fingertips or the palms. If you have yoga blocks at home, this is really helpful too, to bring the ground closer to you, just in case you need that. So you're going to plant firmly into the right foot. And when you're ready, you start to drag the left foot all the way back behind you, and you can bring that left knee down. So you'll end up with this slightly deep bend in the front knee. And if the gait trails a little bit over the toes, that's okay. Not so much where we're trailing so far, but we want this deep opening. And sometimes it looks more like this if we just have tight hips, and that's fine, right? I want you to breathe into this left hip for our crescent pose. A beautiful hip opener. If it feels good to you, you can stay right here on the hands, or you can press into this front foot and reach the fingers up high, opening the heart space. You can even send the palms out behind you and interlace the fingers to open up the heart a bit more if it feels good, but you've got options here. When you're ready, you're going to plant the palms to frame that front foot. Once again, we'll take a half split. So what that means is we're going to lengthen our front leg, our right leg. Just lengthen the leg and flex the right toes up towards the ceiling. So the hips sort of naturally draw back, but we're not pressing them all the way down to the floor. So all we're really doing is lengthening that front leg for a half split and getting this nice opening in our calf and in our hamstring. And breathe into that space where you're feeling any tension. We're going to plant this foot again, bend into the front knee. And we're gonna come into a modified side plank. So all we're gonna do, just for leverage, we're gonna lift that back knee now. And we'll bring this front knee down. So you press into the palms and just allow this front knee to relax down right between your hands. Plant the right hand at the front of the right knee, spin the back heel down. So the left heel comes down and now our whole left foot is planted for a modified side plank. So we reach up with our left fingertips, stacking the shoulders on top of each other. You know, and sometimes that's not as easily done. Sometimes we're somewhere here and that's fine. But all we need to do is think about opening this left shoulder, shining our heart towards the ceiling, taking a little bit of weight out of this lower wrist, and finding length from one wrist to the other. So we've got this one long line, right? Plant firmly into that back foot. So, you know, you have your foundation, even if you start to feel wobbly. Then you always ground down into your foundation. So we're gonna come into a gate pose. So you're gonna rotate the lower right leg out behind you. So we take this position to this position. And with your core, you're gonna come up where your upper body is now lengthened, okay? And if you ever have any discomfort when you're on your knees, in any position where you're on your knees, you can obviously make a small adjustment like that. You can overlap a part of your mat to give yourself more cushion, or you can put a blanket or a pillow under your knee even. Just find what feels good for you. That is the theme. So we have one long line from one set of fingertips to the other. We're gonna flip our front palm over and reach up with the right hand. Let the left hand relax down the back leg for a peaceful warrior or version of peaceful warrior. We breathe into this into this right side. And then we're gonna exhale and bring the right hand down, reach up with the left fingertips. So we're coming back into that semi side plank. Our next exhale is gonna take us back to that gate pose. We're going to flip the front palm, take an inhale, peaceful. So you breathe into that right side body, making lots of space. And then we plant the right hand back down again. This time, reach up and over the head with the left fingertips and make tons of space along the left side body. Next exhale, we're gonna come back to that gate pose and we'll do that one more time. Flip the front palm, inhale for peaceful warrior, breathe into the right side. We exhale, take the right hand down, reach over with the left fingertips and make space on the left side. When you're ready, you can plant both hands down to the mat. And once you've got that foundation, you rotate everything forward again. So you rotate the knees, the hips, the heart, the fingertips, the toes, everything rotates towards the top of the mat once again. And you're on that knee already. Let's take a pigeon pose. So you're just going to bring that right knee behind the right wrist. And your pigeon pose might look something like this, where, just fixing my mic for a moment, where we're kind of like not melting into the hips too much, and that's totally fine. Whatever angle this knee is at, whether it's about 35 degrees, whether it's about 45 degrees, whether it's closer to 90 degrees if you have open hips, that's totally fine. Just find what feels good for you here and let the hips melt down to the earth. So like the whole pelvis melts down to the earth in whatever way feels right. If you're very open and you feel good about it, you can come onto the forearms and even allow the forehead to draw down a bit. And you're just gonna stay here for a few breaths. So you're going to plant into your hands to lift your heart back up when you're ready to move on from your pigeon. we're gonna come into a pyramid pose. So first, we're gonna tuck the back toes. We're gonna lift the back knee. We are going to press into the palms in order to plant the foot between the palms. So we're coming back into this lunge first. And then we step the back foot up until we can safely and mindfully bend or lengthen both legs and melt over that front leg. Again, you might want to use some yoga blocks if you've got lots of tension in the back of this right leg. Or we can really melt down, whatever feels good, whether we're somewhere here with the chest lifted or whether we're really melting down. And again, feel free to take less space between the feet or more space in your pyramid pose. And breathe. Find a spot of tension and send your breath there. You know, if you've ever heard a yoga teacher say, send some love to this area of the body. That's really what we mean, is send your breath there, because when we send our breath to a specific part of the body, we can make space there. When you're ready, you're going to bend a little bit into that front knee again, just for safety. You'll step the back foot up to meet the right into this forward fold. Once again, we land here at the top of our mat in a forward fold. We relax the crown of the head down. Maybe shake the head no, and shake the head yes. So releasing tons of tension in the neck and the shoulders here. We're going to take a ragdoll. So maybe a micro bend in the knees. Grasp opposite elbows. And then we just sway very gently from one side to the other. And stay with your breath. Maybe you inhale in one direction and then exhale in the other. Just really plant down the feet as well, so you can even press into the outer sides of the feet, the heels, the toes. So that'll help us stay really nice and stable and grounded, so that we can really just focus on twisting the upper body a little bit. And we're going to move into the other side of our sequence now. So you come to center. Bring the fingertips or the palms down, bend deeply into the knees to get there. We're going to plant the left foot, send the right foot straight back. So we're either going to send it back, or like we did on the first round, we just drag it back there. It's really just about what feels best for you. And the more we send it back, the more open our hips will become. And then we just breathe into that right hip. If you want, again, you can lift up the chest, take the fingertips high, open the heart. You can open the heart by taking the fingers behind the back, or maybe your hands come to a prayer at the top and then draw down behind the head, opening the triceps a bit. And we'll plant the palms along the front foot. Take your half split by lengthening that front leg and flexing into the left foot. Always a little bit easier to find these shapes on the second side of the sequence, right? Which is kind of nice. So after you breathe one more time into the back of this left leg, we can plant that left foot, bend back into the left knee, and we will plant down that left knee now for that modified side plank. So you're going to get a different view now. We'll plant the left hand in front of the left knee. We spin the back heel down, plant into that right foot, and we reach up with the right fingertips. Finding that alignment from one wrist to the other. There I go. You stay here for one more breath. I'm going to change my position. Reaching, 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 finding space. Rotate the lower leg of that below that left knee back behind you, and then when you're ready, come to that gate pose. You lift up the heart in the upper body. We're still nice and planted in that back foot, in that right foot. So remember that, as much as we might want to just kind of let the ankle go, that's part of our foundation. That's part of our stability. So we plant the sole of that foot. Find length in the heart space here. Flip the front palm over, so the left hand, and reach up with the left fingertips. Let the right hand draw back and down, open up and breathe into that left side body. And then we will plant down the left hand, reach up with the right. When you're ready, you can reach up and over the head and find so much length along the right side. Take an exhale when you're ready and come back to that gate pose. Flip the front palm, inhale for peaceful. So we reach up, sending peace behind us. Then we plant the left hand down, reach up with the right, and then find that extra length along the right side, reaching up and over the head. When you're ready, you will plant the right hand back down as well. We rotate everything towards the front of our mat, the knees, the hips, the heart, the fingertips, the toes, everything rotates forward. We're going to take a nice pigeon pose. So you just draw that left knee behind the left wrist and you allow the hips to settle. So if that looks something like this, we stay. If we can let our center melt down even more and come to the forearms or anywhere in between. Listen to the body and honor whatever messages it's sending you. Once you're right there in that happy place where it's like, I have, some mild discomfort, maybe based on the tension that is already in my body, and I'm actively opening that space. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of tension that you feel. But the minute that it becomes moderate to severe discomfort, we come out of the position and we are easy on ourselves. So you can lift up the heart here, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to, lift our hips back up, readjust a little bit. We're going to lift the back knee. We're going to step this front foot in between the palms or make our way to this lunge. And then we're going to come into our pyramid. So you're going to step up the back foot until you can lengthen both legs and then draw both heels down. When you're ready, you can melt over that front leg. Any degree, whether it's somewhat lifted or allowing for a very deep release. Whatever feels right. Either way, we feel that tension in the back of the leg because it's muscle tension. It's there. That's why we're doing it. That's why we're here. We're breaking it up. So we're going to bend a little bit into that front knee. We're going to step the right foot up to meet the left. Take another forward fold over long legs. And when you're ready, you're going to start to bend very, very deeply into the knees once again. And start to lower the seat all the way down to the earth. So see if you can very gracefully allow yourself to come onto the mat. I always like to offer that to students because it's just a little extra core work to gracefully land. And sometimes we just need that little extra, which allows us to sort of really mindfully move through our day as opposed to, again, sort of haphazardly throwing ourselves around. We develop that core strength and that grace to move, and it's really about safety, so we don't, screw up our back when we're just like getting out of the car or something, which definitely has happened to me. So from here, we're going to plant our feet and bend into our knees. We're just going to take a reverse tabletop. Again, a little bit of core strength here for that same reason, but full core strength, including our back body, including our midsection and back, and our strengthening our back core. So you're going to plant the hands behind the low back and let the fingertips point inward towards the low back. plant the feet firmly. When you're ready, you're going to press into the palms and into the heels to lift the hips all the way up towards the ceiling. So it could look something like this. If you have the strength and ability, you can really press the ground away and lift the front of the hips and the belly button all the way up towards the ceiling or in that direction. Remember what your foundation, to plant into your foundation. Your palms and your feet have you. You're not falling over, you're not floating away. When you're ready, one last breath here, and we can allow the sacrum or the low back to settle really, really mindfully. And release the hands, shake them out a little bit. You can come onto your back now, so figure out where you need to be on your mat to relax all the way down. And I'm gonna invite you to draw the knees into the chest. So you bend into the knees and take them in. Take a moment here to just really relax down into the earth. So we haven't been on our backs relaxing into the ground yet. So take a moment, maybe shake the head from side to side, carve out a little space for your skull into the earth, right? Maybe take the knees one way and the other, carve out a space for the low back into the ground. And we're going to take a supine twist. So you're going to allow the right leg to come all the way straight down the mat. We're going to keep the left knee, take the left knee over to the right. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to allow our shoulders and our upper body to stay somewhat flush to the earth. You reach out with the left hand and send your gaze in that direction. So you complete the twist by sending your gaze one way and your knee the other way. Here's your supine twist. And again, wherever this knee is fine. So just let it float, or if you really feel good about your twist and your low back is comfortable, you can allow it to melt down as long as the shoulders are still somewhat flush to the earth. One more breath here. Then let that left hip come back down to the earth. Take the knees into the chest. Then we'll do the other side. You lengthen the left leg. You take the right leg over to the left, the right knee over to the left. Reach out with the right hand. Send your gaze in that way. And breathe into this twist. When we twist in yoga, it is about detoxing. It's about releasing unproductive tension and emotion from our body. So think about wringing out a rag of dirty water and just releasing all of that yuck, ick that we don't need from our lives. So after your next breath, allow this right hip to settle back down. Once again, take the knees into the chest. Give yourself a moment here. I'll invite you to take a happy baby as well. So you're going to reach for the outer sides of the feet, whether that means reaching between the legs or along the outer sides of the legs. Either way. And whether that looks something like this or whether it looks something like this, where the soles of the feet can actually sort of face the ceiling. And just find a release of tension here. Let the hips go. Maybe send your weight from one direction to the other. A little low back massage. When you're ready, you can release the feet. Take one leg down and then the other. And you can find your Shavasana here. So I like to take one hand onto my belly and one hand onto my heart space. I like to kind of feel my belly rise and fall with air as well as the chest. You can scan your body here. After closing your eyes, maybe scan the body from top to bottom. So start at the crown of the head and draw down. Almost like there's a warm white light sort of coating you and blanketing you from top to bottom. And as that warm white light touches you and blankets over you, the muscles and the tissues in your body at that point can just stop working. Release any and all tension. So Maybe even find some softness behind the eyelids. Relax the lower jaw. Take a swallow, and at the end of your swallow, release the throat. Let the shoulders relax down to the earth, and so on and so forth. Never resist taking any little adjustments that you need, even once you're in Shavasana. The goal is to find your own happy place, and whatever is necessary, we honor that.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this was a tension releasing, stress reducing practice for you. And remember that you can come back and view these videos whenever you'd like. If you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And again, please take care of yourself and remember that self-care is your job. Namaste.